You are now listening to Timebite, hosted by me, Stephen Clark. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Hey there, everybody. This is Stephen from Timebite, episode 139. And today I am here with someone who is ringmaster / side act as a jester sometimes, and runs a really fine show. I haven't got a chance to watch it yet because I don't know where you can watch it. Probably somewhere on YouTube or somewhere else. I'll find that out today. Today I am with Jerome of Gaslight Circus, who is also, like I said, ringmaster / jester in the acts of their shows. Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How's it going for you?
It's been a year. Been quite a year.
It really has. Yeah, so let's start right from the beginning. Like, what kind of I guess when it comes to what you do, it really shows of what you were when you were like younger, like really small. So like, what got you fascinated and interested in doing the whole circus thing, and like how did it become to be what it is today? Like how did you start in it, and how did you make it become how it is today?
So starting all the way from the beginning, it was through my uncle. My uncle performed in the 80s with Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. He was one of their clowns. So I've kind of come from a family of clowns. After a few years of kind of deciding, won't I become a circus clown, I kind of went my own way for a little bit and dabbled in professional wrestling before coming back to the circus, and opened Gaslight Circus in 2016. But from about 2010 to 2016, I performed solo under the name Jared the Jester, also calling myself the Clown Prince of Arizona.
Mm-hmm. So your family, well, most of your family, or like you said, your uncle, started as a circus clown for Ringling Brothers back in the day, back in the 80s. So it's funny that you say that, because I don't know if you remember this ringmaster from Ringling Brothers. He went by Kit Haskett. And
I know the name Kit Haskett.
Yeah, I interviewed his daughter on my podcast.
And, oh, that's cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, actually on my podcast, one of the last episodes I recently did was talking about circus shows getting theatrical stories and singers, and when I was doing research on some of the first singing ringmasters Ringling Brothers employed, I remember seeing that Kit Haskett was one of the first ones.
Yeah, his daughter is actually really nice and really cool, and she has a lot of great stories. I mean, I can if you want me to, I can ask her if she would like to do a interview with you if you like.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. So, and you said you dabbled in professional wrestling. Where are we talking here?
So I had a brief stint with a small indie promotion called the AWF, Arizona Wrestling Federation. I trained for about 2 years, and after getting to the point where I was almost set to make a debut on a show, life happened, and due to one thing, I was medically disqualified from competing, and just kind of totally took the wind out of my sails for getting in the ring for a while. And in kind of a depressive who am I now kind of fit, I got into juggling and got back into the circus.
So were you a fan? I know this is I'm bringing the little wrestling mark out of me right now, but I know, but were you a fan of wrestling and the circus at the same time growing up, or was it just like you were a huge wrestling fan and you tried to get into wrestling, it didn't work out, and then you got a fan, and then you became a fan of the circus and you started doing circus things and it got you interested to do it, and then it became the thing that you did for the rest of your life, sort of thing?
It's a bit of both. I mean, I've been a pretty big fan of both for a while, but it was definitely my main goal was to wrestle, and then circus became a fallback after, finding out that producing a circus show and producing a wrestling show, there's a lot of parallels, like a lot of, because you're going to understand some of the words I'm going to use here. A lot of terminology crosses over. Like, you're booking a circus show, you've got your headliners, you've got who's going over, you've got your undercard, you've got your faces and heels, especially circus shows that tell stories. Like, I like to play a heel on stage all the time, and it was a very easy transition because there were so many parallels. Since if you go back as far as the 1930s with like Toots Mont and Brumar San Martino, wrestling started in carnivals, so it's kind of a branch off of like OG circus.
Yeah, and I mean, you didn't get any heat for being the heel at the circus, right? You never got really much heat at all. I mean, unless you did.
I mean, it's hard to get heat when you're kind of the guy in control. But no, I always try and make sure that, like, if you're talking like backstage heat, no, there's no backstage heat. But I've done stuff on stage to where my goal is to definitely be the bad guy in some shows, and I've done some stuff on stage that is really. I once took we had a show where we had me as a ringmaster and my partner as a ringmaster, and it was going to be a who was the better ringmaster kind of show. And halfway through the show, I stuffed them inside of the giant mail sack, and got like just raining down boos on me from these little kids in the front row. It was awesome. I love being the bad guy.
That sounds awesome. So I don't know if you can say it because it's always been a thing in circus lore that no one really knows how it works, but how do you fit all the clowns in those tiny cars?
Very, very carefully. You also take out a bunch of seats and stuff. And then you just, you kind of draw straws and see who's on the bottom of the car. If you're on the bottom, you're the seat for everybody else. No,
that's crazy. I mean, I still don't understand it after you explain it, but I mean, that's just the fun of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. The whole key thing of circus is being able to, we do things that other people can't perceive as normal. Kind of a bit of wonder and amazement. And how did they do that?
Here's an interesting question. One that you would think that it's just as wonderful as that last question. Favorite ringmaster.
Favorite ringmaster of all time? That's easy. That would be Jonathan Lee Iverson from Ringling Brothers. Currently the ringmaster of Omnium Circus. He opened his own show, actually. That's planning to bring a big top circus touring around the U.S. when live shows can resume. They're online right now. He's an opera-trained singer. He was the youngest ringmaster to ever join Ringling Brothers. He was the first African-American ringmaster. And he was just the very first show he did on the West Coast was in Phoenix. And it was also the very first show I got to go to as a kid.
That's really cool. I mean, Jonathan Lee Iverson is like probably the best. I mean, like he's really awesome. He's really nice. He did his job really well. And
he's probably like the most powerful and imposing looking ringmaster probably since like P.T. Barnum. When he enters a room, you notice. And I've never seen someone have a voice that booms like that. So it was no surprise that when Ringling Brothers closed in 2017, that like every other independent circus in the U.S. was like, we got to try and get JLI on the show. And mostly shows in Texas succeeded. That's where he was living for a while.
So tell me about the history about your guys' own circus, Gaslight. Did it start during the dying days of Ringling Brothers, so you guys just had that perfect opportunity from one day for it to close down that you guys were going to go up? Or did you guys like start like after they closed down because you knew that the circus thing was kind of had like an open hole, an open gap, and you guys can just slot yourself in and be like, we're here now because Ringling Brothers is not here anymore. They closed down, so now we're here and we'll entertain you or something like that?
I mean, it wasn't so much that we were trying to like compete with them or anything, because of course I have loads of respect for that entire production and everything, and there have been rumors of it allegedly coming back at some point. That there was being talks that happening in 2020 that got shut down because of COVID, so it's not happening now because the people who own Ringling Brothers laid off like 90% of their staff. But for us, no, we were just big circus fans. Before I opened with Gaslight Circus, I was in a sideshow in Phoenix called Mystic Circus. And it was a show that did a lot of like 18 plus crude humor, like body modification stuff. And after being in that scene for a while, I was kind of getting sick of it and didn't think we were being super entertaining, and it was just kind of like a self-satisfying show. So after a while, I quit and joined another show for a while that promised to be better, wound up being the same thing. I quit that show too, and eventually just said, screw it, I'm just going to open my own show and be the show that I want to be.
So do you incorporate the music taste that you love into the show, or do you like incorporate like different kinds of music, like the standard circus stuff, or just other kinds of music? I mean, I know my question isn't it's kind of confusing, but I mean, like, you know what I mean?
No, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use all kinds of music. If I find like a traditional circus track that we can use, we will absolutely use it. Except the one called "Entry of the Gladiators." It's like the, net 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 net. I hate that song. I've been in the circus for 10 years. I hate that song. I will never put it in a show. But we've used stuff. We've used rap, rock, metal, pop songs, R&B songs. We try and tailor every performance to what the performer wants to perform to an extent. Our shows always tell stories, and if we can use different tastes of music to tell that story, we definitely do. But then we also have shows where we're like, okay, everybody, this is the theme of the show. Please look for some music that sounds like this. Because not everyone likes the same kind of music that I do. I love stuff like, power metal with orchestra numbers like Nightwish and stuff like that. I love Kiss and Savatage. Mm-hmm. And not every circus show needs to be a metal circus show. At least that's what my staff keeps telling me.
I mean, I agree on your music taste because I love Metallica and Kiss and all those kind of bands. So our music taste, I love it.
Solid.
So, like, have you ever got in contact with Jonathan Lee Iverson? Has he ever seen your show, or does he know you guys as this? And he was like, "You guys are actually pretty cool." Like, did you have that mark out moment, as they say in the wrestling business, when they were like, "Oh my God, he saw my show"?
That I know of, but I have thought about trying to reach out, because I know he does a circus podcast too called In the Center Ring, and it started just like maybe a few weeks before my show started. My podcast, and I've thought about trying to just throw out an email and just be like, hey, notice me, come on my podcast. But honestly, if he said yes, I don't know what I'd do, because I would absolutely mark out. That'd be like the circus equivalent to running into Mick Foley at a Waffle House or something. I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah, because running into Mick Foley at a Waffle House, that would be amazing. He's my favorite. He's my second favorite legend, by the way, next to Mr. Perfect. But I mean,
solid.
So like, I mean, like, obviously that you do the circus today. Today is like what you do. Do you still keep up the business on top of doing your circus stuff? Like, do you still watch today's product? Or are you more a fan of the product of the past?
Oh, I definitely watch the product now. I think the only thing I don't regularly watch, just because I keep forgetting, is Ring of Honor. I don't watch a lot of Ring of Honor, but I watch New Japan, WWE, AEW, Impact, especially with the whole crossovers that are happening on those shows right now. Mm-hmm. Well, not with WWE, but the other ones, I definitely still have a very, very alive and well love for the industry.
Are you a proud owner of the network?
I was for a little bit. I'm currently not now. Mainly because, since there are no fans and stuff, and they're not doing a whole lot of their usual content, they're not really putting a whole lot of content out that I feel like paying for, like shows like Ride Along, Table for Three. You can only watch Untold or 24 like so many times before you're like, I'm just gonna find a live stream of the pay-per-view and watch it somewhere else. Yeah,
because I thought what really would grab you would be like all that classic content, which is half the reason why I have it, because I can watch my ECW, my WCW, and my WWE and everything else.
Yeah, and I definitely do watch a lot of the classic stuff. Like when I got the network when it first launched, and the minute I did, I was coming through all the old ECW stuff. That's actually one of the things I've been watching Impact recently on Tuesdays, is they've been doing some really cool nostalgia stuff with Tommy Dreamer, and I'm a huge Tommy Dreamer fan.
Oh, dude, I got to meet Tommy Dreamer, and he was so freaking nice. I came up to him and I gave him my little podcasting card, that I give out to people who want, so I can put the podcast out there. And I gave him one, and he said that he couldn't do the podcast because he's under rights and contract or whatever with Sirius XM for his Busted Open show. And so in return, he actually recorded on my phone an intro for my podcast.
That's awesome.
And I got to meet Raven too, but like I didn't really get to have full conversation with Raven. But
he seems like a very, introverted guy, Raven.
Yeah, he's kind of like an emo child that just never left his emo phase.
Yeah, it just seems to keep going and going and going.
So, like, I know we're going on to wrestling craze now, but like if we're talking from those three companies, ECW, WCW, and the WWE, which one do you like the most? And to bring in the circus along with this, if you were to compare what level your circus is on between those three companies, this was back in the day, back when those companies were still alive, and your circus was like on like a scale level of those three, which company do you like the most, and which level would you put your circus in on the levels of those companies?
Well, I mean, as far as like where I think my own company sits in a comparison, I'd say we're very much a little bit like late 90s ECW, back when like they were getting used for bigger shows and stuff, and showing up in the Monday Night Wars and all that stuff. But most importantly, because of the fan buzz, having a very loyal, dedicated fan base. The circus scene in Arizona is very one-sided. You're either a sideshow clown or a rave kid, and there's not a whole lot for traditional like theater circus stuff. So when Gaslight came out, we were a whole different ball game, kind of like how ECW was back in the day. It wasn't something that was being seen a whole lot in American television. Mm-hmm. We're kind of the same thing in that we're putting on shows where you're not going to see the same thing. You're not going to see somebody in fluffy Aladdin pants spinning fire and spinning circles. You're going to see acrobats. You're going to see lyra performers. You're going to see, actual jugglers, and you're going to see strongmen and stuff like that. And all that's accompanied with sometimes live music and singers and dancers. And it's not just, I've got a set of poi and I've been to Burning Man twice. Look at me. It was a whole different thing, and it was a really strong alternative. So I'd rank us kind of in that ECW in terms of like popularity and drive and passion. Mm-hmm. But as far as like how I think we look, I think sometimes I feel like we look a little bit like WCW in like that last year they were open. I'm talking Scott Steiner walking a freaking tire to the ring for no reason at all. That kind of, what is happening? What are they doing? I like this, but I'm also confused. That's kind of what we do.
I think that when you watch anything from WCW at the end there, you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I love it.
Exactly. That was kind of something that I said I posted on Twitter once, that I was watching like the death throes of WCW. And one of the things that I posted was that even though WCW was an absolute train wreck in its last year of business, I always mark out for Crowbar. And shortly after that, Crowbar followed me on Twitter and sent me a DM saying that he liked my circus stuff. So I kind of popped a little bit because I got a compliment from Crowbar.
Yeah, Crowbar is something else these days. And for the longest time, I mixed Crowbar with Canyon by accident because I thought they were like the same person at one point.
They look similar. Chris Canyon and Crow look similar.
Yeah, back in the day when they were in WCW, they looked a lot alike, but they were different in their different ways. But
yeah, exactly. I've actually been thinking about with our online web series. I'm talking about doing a video segment that's kind of like. Have you seen Crowbar's his Twitter promos with the wine and stuff and the black and white videos?
Yeah, I've seen those.
Well, I'm talking about doing a couple of those just as kind of a nod to Crowbar, just for kicks.
That's really awesome. Who was but going back to that question, that you described it great, but like if you weren't putting your circus involved and you were just looking at the companies as themselves, which one do you like the most? Are you a big ECW fan over the other two if you had the choice?
In that time frame, yes. Anything like when it comes to like the 90s, early 2000s before ECW closed, definitely would be ECW, WWE, and then WCW.
Yeah, because you see, for me, I love ECW, so yeah, I put ECW on top for me personally too. But like for me, it's like ECW, WCW, then the WWE. Even though the WWE was really good when it was the Federation back in the day, it was good. no, they're the big league, so I mean they're just good for what they are. But like the other two, I mean, they had their uniqueness. I mean, like, WCW worked with Japan, and they had their cruiserweight divisions, and then they had their lucha
Yeah, I
libre
mean,
stuff.
like loads of American fans would have otherwise never heard of the Great Muta if they didn't watch WCW.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Great Muta have a little stint in ECW, or I'm thinking someone else?
I can't remember. Most of the things that I see a Great Muta on American TV around that time was he did a bit, he did a storyline in WCW that involved Vampiro, the Demon, and the Insane Clown Posse, which was really weird. Like they apparently it was originally supposed to be Vampiro and ICP, and then for one reason or another, Vampiro was written off TV, and they put Muta in the place of him, and it looked so out of place.
Speaking of ICP, it's so crazy because like you may remember this. Remember when Mike Awesome jumped to WCW and he did the whole that 70 guys gimmick?
Yeah, that 70s Mike Awesome.
Yeah, he took. Did you see that he power? I don't know which one it was. I think it was Shaggy 2 Dope, the skinnier one. He did the awesome bomb to him on top of the bus, and he slid off the bus and almost like cracked his head open, falling off the bus.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I'm not a really an ICP fan at all, so I have no idea who's who.
Yeah, that was nuts. And speaking, I mean, like I talked about this with someone else on my podcast like a while ago. You may know him because you're an ECW freak, or Mark, like I am. You may know Front Row Material, right?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, they have their host that they have is Mike Freeland, and I had him on the podcast, and we were talking about that, and everyone thought that the guy who got the ICP member that got powerbombed off the bus was Mikey Whipwreck for some reason.
That's because in that time, if you saw a wicked bump, if it wasn't Spike Dudley, it was Mikey Whipwreck.
Yeah, because Spike Dudley was someone else. He was something else.
Human missile.
Who
Not by choice, but he was a human missile.
From all those kind of gimmicks, like the human missile gimmick, like Spike Dudley and Mikey Whipwreck and gimmicks like those, which one was your favorite? Who was your favorite who did that kind of stuff? Like if you had like a favorite guy who did that kind of stuff the most.
I mean, it was definitely Spike because he was so versatile with it. He's the guy that no matter whoever he's against is going to be able to pick him up clean and easy and just chuck him somewhere. Bump's great. Ragdoll's fantastic. Just kind of wrote the book on that whole thing.
If you were gonna take a wrestler from the past, alive or dead, the put into your circus, who would you put in there? Like, who you think would work the best? I mean, except Mason Ryan, because then he does the Circus Du Freak stuff. Not Du Freak, yeah. Circus LA stuff.
If I had to pick any wrestler, alive or dead, to be in Gaslight Circus in some form, that's super easy, actually. That would have been, and it would have been as a ringmaster of some kind, too, because I think he would have been fantastic. That would have actually been one we recently lost, and that would have been Brody Lee.
Oh, man, Brody Lee, man. That really hurt, man. That
hurt. I watched that AEW special, and I was like, I was holding it together, and then they have the whole spot where Eric Redbeard Rowan comes out, and he's holding the sign that says "See you down the road," which is a circus like farewell that we use in the business. And I just lost it. I was like, baby.
Did he end up buying the AEW tribute shirt to his passing that says Brody Lee?
Yeah, I did. I got one.
Yeah, I got that too because he was my favorite out of the Wyatt family, honestly.
He was awesome. He had so much potential and wasn't getting used right. And then when they brought him in to lead Dark Order, it was like, this is really cool. Especially because the whole pivot where, leading up to Brody debuting, everyone thought it was going to be Matt Hardy, and then it wasn't. I marked out and I was like, oh, it's not Matt. I wasn't expecting Brody. This is awesome.
Do you see Brody as like doing his yeah thing as a ringmaster or something, or what kind of act or performance do you see him doing in your circus if you were to have him there?
I think there'd be a little bit of both. There'd be a little bit of Mr. Brody Lee, and then there'd be a little bit of Luke Harper, because his whole gimmick would definitely be a great attention grabber for a talker trying to get attention to the fans and stuff. But then once he had their attention, he'd be full, just debonair Mr. Brody Lee, big imposing figure, larger than life.
Mm-hmm. And you said, and you were talking about earlier about how you like singing and music and booming voices, sort of. At least that's what you said about Jonathan Lee Iverson. But from what I can tell, from you like incorporating music into your shows. What singer of any kind can you see like doing, like, would you like to be in your show? Like would you like to have like Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley or people like those, or anyone?
It's definitely a tie on that one. Definitely Paul Stanley, because the first Kiss album I ever heard was Psycho Circus, and I fell in love with that. But Paul's got a great voice. The other one who I think would be a close second, or at least who I'd call if Paul said no, is named Tobias Sammet. He's the frontman for a group called Avantasia. He's on a band called Ed Guy. Great German orchestral metal singer who's got a really crazy. He's got a really good range, and he's very, very Paul Stanley-esque, but he's already done more circus and story-driven shows, so he has a bit of more of a vocal endurance or something like that. Paul will do great, even today, and 70 years old, but Tobias Sammet's half his age and can sing at a full tilt for like 15 minutes straight.
That's really cool. I mean, I never heard. I mean, I know Paul Stanley, but the other guy that you were talking about, I never heard of him before. But I'll believe you. I mean, it seems pretty cool. So like, what's your favorite show you guys ever done in the past? Because you haven't done any this year or possibly last year either because of the COVID. But what's the favorite from memory and what you remember? What's the favorite show that you ever done?
I mean, almost every show has some kind of little tidbit thing that I like, but I would definitely say my favorite one right now is one we did it in 2017. It was called 6 Feet Under. It was an old Western show theme that we did, and the headliner was me, and the headlining act was I was going to perform the bullet catch magic trick, where I had somebody load a 45 caliber revolver and fire it at me from about 10 paces away, and I was going to catch the bullet in my mouth, which I managed to do and not die. I'm the only man in Arizona to do it and not get killed.
That is nuts. Wait.
That's what the promoter said.
But you're the promoter, though. You're the booker.
Well, the guy who owns the venue. But I also would look at myself in the mirror and go, "You're out of your mind." You know that?
I would never do that. If you told me to do that, I would like straight up say, "Nope. I don't care how much you're paying me. I'm not doing it."
It was a draw, man. I knew it was a draw. Like as soon as I put the PR out there that I was going to catch a bullet, the ticket sales just spiked. It was a great decision.
So like was Char in that show, the person I had on my podcast that works for you?
No, Char hadn't joined the show yet. Char is they're kind of a recent addition. I think maybe in the past year and a half. They started out as a fan. And then I was introduced to them, and I saw their artwork and everything, and they asked if they could design stuff for the show. And I said, yeah, throw some stuff together and see what you can do. And I really like what they've done so far, some of the stuff that they've sent me.
Yeah, because how I guess I don't know if that was technically answering it, but I'll just ask anyway. Is that like how did you and Char like meet? Was it just because Char used to just come to the shows all the time, and you just ran into each other and Char said, "Hey, I do art. You want to see my art?" Or like,
we actually met through a performer in the show. His name's Tom, or Tomo the Clown. He's one of our original performers that we still have in the show. He's been around since day one, and he introduced me to Char.
Mm-hmm. And so do you have like a favorite like design T-shirt or anything that Char makes that you like that you guys have been selling? That you really, really like, saying like, oh man, I really love this shirt and I still have it to this day?
Well, I keep every shirt design we definitely make. We have a lot of really cool designs. Char, I have a lot of really cool ones that they've done. They've done a great job with like buttons and stickers and other shirt designs. And they actually had a design they did a drawing of me that we haven't used it yet for any PR, but it's been my phone screen since I got it because I adore it so much. But my favorite thing that I think I've gotten from them was I told them I wanted to do some kind of memorable design for our performers. So they designed a bunch of us to look like pop vinyls pop figures, and they gave it to me in this little shrinky dink button that you put on your vest, and it is like my favorite thing that they've ever designed because it's so cool to look at yourself and go, I'm a pop figure. This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you right now, man. This is me. Like, this is me just like telling you that, like, I know that one day you're gonna go so well with this circus thing that, like, it would be so popular that you guys will probably get your own pop figures, like official pop figures.
That'd be really cool. I mean, we've actually talked about trying to make bootleg ones too. You look for a mold online and just pour some resin in it and paint it. There you go.
Like, so, like, if Barn Bailey comes back, like, if those talks do come true and they do come back, like, are you guys will obviously still keep going, right? Because you're not just going to stop because the big boy in town came back. But
oh, not at all. We'll probably knock on their door and say, "Can we come over and play with you guys every once in a while?" Like, before they closed, they were looking for a new ringmaster. They had a whole audition search, and me and one other ringmaster from Gaslight named Noah Brown, we both auditioned at the same time. We didn't get it, but we still were hopeful for it. But if they were to come back, we definitely would just be huge fans and want to go and see the show or try and find ways to partake. But yeah, Gaslight wouldn't go anywhere at all. We're definitely still in it for the long haul to be our own show. As far as those talks go, from like, I'll give you some insider circus stuff here.
yeah,
When the talks started in like late 2019, when Feld Entertainment, they own Ringling Brothers, they own Monster Jam, Disney on Ice. They renewed the IP property for Ringling Brothers, and everyone was like, "Ooh, they're not selling the property. What are they going to do with it?" Because there were loads of people that wanted to buy it from them and reopen it, but Feld was like, "Nope, we're going to keep it. Nope, we're going to keep it." What are you going to use it for? They were like, "Nope, we're not going to tell you." And then one day they just renewed it. And then on their website, under the Ringling Brothers website, they had this one page that just said newsletter. And it was the only page there. You couldn't go to like the shop or any show stuff. You just type in Ringling Brothers on Google and it takes you there. And it lets you add into any kind of email stuff for like casting and whatnot. So everyone was like, oh man, they're going to come back. And then I heard from a friend of mine named Greg Payne. He used to do program promotion for Ringling. He said, hey, I think they're going to do it. It's looking like 2020 might be your year, kid. And I was like, oh man, I got to look for it. So that was the plan, and then COVID happened, and then to save their company, Feld, the owners of Ringling, they laid off 90% of their audience. Not audience, their staff, and so now rumor mill says they might try again in 2023. Even before COVID, I wasn't 100% sure about the rumors being true, even after I heard from Greg Payne. The thing that got me to mark out and go, oh, it's going to happen, was Jonathan Lee Iverson post on his Instagram. It was a selfie that just said, oh, I'm just in the neighborhood, and he was standing outside the Feld offices, and I was like, oh, it's going to happen, and they're bringing him back. So 2023, maybe. That's all I know.
that is nuts. That's like because old stuff is becoming new again, and I know that after regular bars closed, and it closed in 2017, and by that point I was like, I don't know, it's just like I don't like, it's not really a thing I'm into or whatever. Like, even when I was little, I didn't even go because I didn't, like, my parents didn't see me any interest in me going or whatever. But like if it came back, which sounding promising than what you told me, is that I would give it a shot. I mean, I would love to see you guys do your thing too if you guys ever come to Chicago and do a show. But
well, definitely. Well, that's also the big thing too, is that, I mean, you don't have to go to Ringling Brothers to be a circus fan. People were always posting when they said they were closing, oh, the circus is dead, it's gone, but there's still like 32 traveling circuses in the U.S. Still, we're one of them. People still like the circus. You don't hear about the circuses often because you have groups like PETA and stuff jamming us into the dirt for various reasons that aren't true. And I mean, the circus is still alive and well. Ringling Brothers was just the biggest name possible. But if they come back, that'd be cool. But one of the big things that kind of proved that circus was going to be a big thing to come back was actually the movie The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman. When that came out and it stayed in theaters for almost a full year because people loved the music and loved the look of it, it kind of proved, oh, hey, people still like this. Why are we getting rid of this?
Yeah, I seen that movie, and it was actually pretty good. I watched it with my mom. We liked it. It was a nice movie.
we actually rented out an entire theater, Gaslight Circus, to we had a thing called Fan Night where we rented out an entire auditorium, and the first like couple hundred fans that could RSVP got to come watch that movie with us for free.
Oh, that's really awesome. Just that you can get a whole theater, just to have all your guys and a few.
Yeah, it was
fans.
like a giant family movie night kind of thing.
Did you guys have? Was it like free popcorn, free sodas on top of that, or it's like no, you got to pay for that?
Yeah, we covered all of it.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was like, you guys like our show, you guys keep us in business, let us repay you. Come watch this awesome circus movie with us, and they did. It was awesome.
So, what? So, like, if you guys like, since you're such a wrestling fan and you're a really smart guy, you know how to book things. Would you really like to do like a circus wrestling crossover thing, like where it's like an independent show, but except it's like there's like circus and stuff on top of that?
Oh yeah, 100%. This has actually been talked about before within Gaslight Circus. I have this vision, right? If somebody were to give me like $1 million and say, book your dream circus show, it would actually be part wrestling show, part circus show. So imagine like I would have it in like a Coliseum or something, and you've got like 2 circus rings. You have or 3 circus rings actually, the old 3 rings format. 1 circus ring for performing. The mill ring would have a wrestling ring in it, and then the 3rd ring on the end would be a circus performer. And we would alternate, right, on like different, either have a match or 2, or you'd have a circus performance, and you'd have like this 2.5 some odd 3-hour show maybe of circus and wrestling happening together hand in hand. And like the idea of reaching out to like indie stars and other companies to collab with it. Like, could you imagine a circus show where you just watched a tiger trainer do its whole thing for like a 15-minute tiger act with lions and all that kind of cool stuff, and then immediately after that you see like Cody Rhodes come out to his downstate track with like an elephant or something? It'd be wild.
Yeah, because if that were to happen, let me tell you, I actually I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I actually interviewed Psycho Sid and Sabu on my podcast. And so like if you ever were to have that idea flourish into the way you want it to be, I can probably contact them and get in contact with you so you can possibly have them on your show.
Really cool. And I'm sure if I ever got it to happen, I probably couldn't get someone like Cody Rhodes or anything, but like I think of the bigger names who would have that are current right now that would have that elaborate entrance. Like another example would be like Chris Jericho coming out to Judas, but he's being on like a horse-drawn chariot or something with like fire and stuff coming up behind him. Something big, something huge. Yeah,
and like if you had Don Callis on the show, would you bring Don Callis on your show as the network stooge Cyrus, or would you
only if he brings Kenny? Like if Kenny can come play, then yeah, Don can come over.
That would be amazing. I mean like if you were to do that, like would you do the circus stuff during the intermission, because independent shows have their intermission spots, so like would you do the circus stuff during the intermission parts, or would you actually like go like match circus act, like stuff like that?
We'd probably have it alternate in such a way that like we would just have a flat regular intermission so everybody can take a second to breathe. That way you don't overstimulate your audience or exhaust your performers.
Mm-hmm.
So it would still just have a regular intermission, basically.
That's cool. I mean, and that's good for everyone. So like, with that cool, awesome idea of wanting to be, the most important question I forgot to ask at the very beginning, which I should have, is where did the name come from?
Oh, Gaslight Circus?
Uh-huh.
So it kind of came as a knockoff to another name that we were trying to use. So at the time that the idea of opening my own show kind of began to float around in my head, I was working for these really small side shows called Mystic Circus and Painproof Punks, and just really small bar shows that weren't really getting anywhere. And, I'm talking hot dog and a handshake like shows where you're really not getting a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
When I first teased the idea of wanting to open a show, one of the people I was working with, his name's Alex, he was making jokes saying, oh, we're not going to make as much money. We're just going to, we'll make like gas money or something. And I said, well, screw it. Let's call it Gas Money Circus. Why not? Let's just make a joke of it and call it that. And then I thought about it more, and I thought about the things that I wanted to see in the show, the kind of themes, and I always have really enjoyed stuff like steampunk and Victorian era stuff. And while every show has different themes, our main theme has always been kind of a steampunk-esque feeling. And then the name, just Gaslight, just kind of was like, oh, hey, this is kind of that. Let's go with that. So just Gaslight Circus, big G, little big L, you know?
That's really cool. So since Gaslight's been, on the down low and haven't really been doing much since COVID struck, what you've been doing, like on the outside, what you been doing in your personal life? Like, have you just been like catching up on shows that you haven't been able to watch because you've been so busy, or do you watch the product and watch other things and just are you basically doing something you haven't been able to do because COVID hit?
Yeah, here and there, before I got into circus and everything else, I love playing video games stuff. That's why I have a, Discord and stuff. So I got the chance to catch up and play some games I hadn't gotten to play. I've watched an ungodly amount of Netflix. It's ridiculous. Of course, I've watched the network and other wrestling shows, and I've even watched older circus shows and newer circus shows that have been live streamed, just kind of trying to keep my finger on as many pulses as possible. But as far as like my own personal thing that I've been doing as trying to keep stuff going is I'm writing a book. That's about it, really. I've had the time to sit down and go, let's write a book. Let's just do that.
Oh, so you have a book coming out?
Yes, hopefully this year. It's called Circus Monkey Motivation, a little perspective from the big top. It's my circus career starting out up to this point, and just basically how I stayed motivated to kind of keep pushing and getting it done, and working in an industry that a lot of people tend to write off and just kind of dismiss or tell me I can't do something or something that I can't succeed at.
Well, I mean, do you want to promote? I mean, if you want to, please do. I mean, this is...
Well, I mean, I'm still writing it, so it's not even on the publisher yet. But I do have a publisher lined up, and I'm hoping to get it published out by maybe April or so. That way, I can, try to get it out by maybe May or June. So hopefully, summer this year, we'll see that book.
Well, I mean, when it does get published, are you gonna do are you gonna do signings? Are you gonna have people do signings of the book and all that stuff, like what Mick Foley did when his Have a Nice Day book came out and all that?
If the book gets over, yeah, for sure. I think to start, I'll probably sign a couple copies and sell them at shows when we do shows again. But as far as a full-on signing, I'll probably decide that on whether or not the book actually people like it or not.
What this is a two-part question. When it comes to circuit circus shows, I know they're not like pay-per-views like a wrestling thing is, but what's your favorite circus show from what year, and what is your favorite wrestling pay-per-view that's ever been done? And it's a two-part question,
No, I can answer both of them. My favorite circus show that I think I've ever seen that's actually a very good question. I would have to say it's probably Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey show, the 126th anniversary show. Was the first show I ever got to go to. It was in 1996. I was like 4. So I don't remember all of it, but I remember Jonathan Lee Iverson, of course, but I also remember seeing a human comet performance for the first time ever, which was basically I watched this guy, he's on a high platform, and he's, drenching himself in what I thought was water, because, dumb for you, what do I know, was actually kerosene, and he's dousing himself, and he lights himself on fire and falls off this platform onto a crash mat that is inflated like a stuntman, and he lands on it, and it explodes, and it was just imprinted in my head as the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I can't say I've seen someone do a human comet since then. I'm sure they have, but I've never actually gotten to see it happen since.
Human comet. I swear I saw that on Monday Night Raw recently.
Yeah, right. That definitely made me think of that. Alexa Bliss uses Fireball. It's super effective. Randy Orton miraculously heals in 2 weeks. I saw that and was like as soon as he came up and he had the horribly burned face, I'm going to be like, he's going to be spotless in 2 weeks just for the Rumble. Just wait. He's going to be perfect. It's going to happen. Sure is nothing else. It's perfectly healed,
But yeah, for the
It must be like the Tears of Marks or something, of some kind of little bottle potion. I don't know.
That'd be funny.
But as far as wrestling pay-per-views, that would be my favorite. That would have to be that's a tie between two different companies. I've been to both of these. The first one was, of course, WrestleMania 25, because just for Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, the first time of their two WrestleMania matches, that alone was worth my money to go from Arizona to Houston and stay for 3 days, like 3 times over. That was incredible to see in person and be a part of that live crowd. Mm-hmm. The other one is TNA Bound for Glory 2013, because they had this killer ladder match between Austin Aries and Jeff Hardy that was just super underrated, because like when Impact was TNA, it always had the bad rap of being kind of a really slung together show, because it was the Hulk Hogan era and everything. But that ladder match was just something else. Plus, I mean, Hulk Hogan was there, and like to that point, as a wrestling fan, I'd never gotten to see him in person before, so that was kind of a cool little thing too. He couldn't move very well, and he had no business trying to put up a big boot. Like his foot barely got off the ground, but it was still funny. Like, oh hey, Hulk Hogan can't get in the ropes. All right.
What wrestlers have you had the pleasure of meeting that you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm meeting you. It's so nice to meet you. Stuff like that.
So my favorite one, he's not actually even a wrestler, he was a general manager. I was at Cyber Sunday 2008. That was the last Cyber Sunday they ever had. I think I got up to go to the concession stand during like the Divas Halloween costume contest, because I know those can drag on. So I was like, okay, this is a good time to go get something. And I'm over there at the snack stand, and Teddy Long is behind me waiting to get a hot dog, and he's trying to play it cool, like he's not standing there in his ridiculous shoulder padded plaid suit. And I just look back and I'm like, are you Teddy Long? And he's like, yep.
Did he put you in a tag team match against The Undertaker?
Thankfully, no. I just kind of looked at him and I was like, what are you doing out here? And he just goes, hot dog, playa. And I just like, this is the best.
That's amazing. I was never that lucky. I mean, I wish I was, but I never was.
Yeah, I mean, it could have happened to anybody, but it was just funny that, like, what was good was that is that no one noticed it was him, really. Like, there were some people who were kind of doing double takes, but were thinking, like, no, there's no way Teddy Long would come out in the middle of a show, and risk being seen by people. So I think people just thought he was a cosplayer, but, like, I knew because of the main W shows, my favorite ones are SmackDown, so I'd watch Teddy Long all the time. And I was like, nope, this is Teddy Long, 100%.
How was Cyber Sunday like? How was being in the crowd for Cyber Sunday? Because that's actually one of my favorite pay-per-views.
I really enjoyed that because I got the chance. I mean, I mostly wanted to go because I was super excited to see Umaga perform in person for the first time. I'm a huge Umaga fan. Dude was gone way too soon. So just for the match of Triple H versus Umaga, I was like, this is going to be great. But of course, you had Undertaker and Big Show in a last man standing match. There was, of course, Jericho versus Batista, where they had Goldust show up for a match as well with Santino Marella. And then you had Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels doing guest referee spots, and Mick Foley did a guest referee spot. It was like a whole bunch of my favorite people just rapid fire, bam, 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 all at once in one show.
Yeah, because can you tell where I got my podcast name from?
Oh yeah, no, I can't tell, no at all.
Yeah, because I mean, Cyber Sunday was one of my favorites, but like probably one. I mean, like I really love the Great American Bash, though. I mean, that's like a bigger favorite of mine. The WCW days mainly, but the WWE days were not bad either. But
right, I mean, it baffles me that like we don't have Cyber Sunday right now in the technical age. Like, could you imagine a Cyber Sunday show where, say, you've got like the fans get to vote on who faces Big E for the IC title? They get to pick like Apollo or Shinsuke Nakamura or Sami Zayn, and like, of course, no one picks Sami. But then for like weeks after that, you get the whole conspiracy voter fraud gimmick from Sami that just writes itself.
Like, dude, same. Do you know how many? Yeah, because like back in 2008, people still had their little flip phones.
Yeah, exactly. I had a flip phone at that time, and when they were like, vote now, and I flip it open, I'm like, how do I vote on this thing? I don't even know I got to go home first and get my computer. I don't know how to use my phone for this.
Yeah, because like you would think in 2020 or 21 now that you would think that since we have iPhones and PCs are, but like technology is really going up and beyond since 2008, and Cyber Sunday in these ages would be probably be really good unless people are really like being like, oh, they screwed the booking. Like that's not what we voted for.
And especially because it's like in a time where there are no fans in person. I mean, I think the goal should be to be as interactive as possible. Like the Thunderdome's neat, but also I feel like a Cyber Sunday would be a really cool idea. Like we could totally drop, like TLC and make it Cyber Sunday. We already have Extreme Rules. We can drop TLC and just do Cyber Sunday.
I'm guessing you don't like TLC that much then.
It's not that I don't like it. I like TLC matches. I think it's a little ridiculous when a pay-per-view is like, this is our theme, but like only one match is going to actually have that stipulation. Mm-hmm. It just seems like kind of a bit of a lazy, storytelling. It's like how I always liked when TNA did Lockdown for the longest time, the 6 Sides of Steel. Every single match was in the cage. It just had a bit more of a stronger uniformity to it, and I feel like having a show called TLC but only one match is a TLC match just seems a little lazy.
Well, I mean, like, if it was up to me, I mean, like, even though I'm a huge GCW fan, and I know both of us are, but if they got rid of Extreme Rules and replaced it with Cyber Sunday, I'd be all right with that, because there's only, like, one, it's like TLC, they only use one match for Extreme Rules, but, like...
Yeah, exactly.
But would you rather have Extreme Rules replaced with Cyber Sunday so you don't have the risk of getting TLC, like tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs again?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that would make sense. I just think that if there's... I get it, it's WWE trying to play it safe and not do a bunch of hardcore matches, but there are plenty of safe ways to do hardcore matches and still, tell a good story. Like... I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this Kenny Omega, John Moxley Omega. They're going to do this homage to Mick Foley and Terry Funk's barbed wire explosion death match.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be nuts, and I feel like there is still room to do gimmick matches and gimmick pay-per-views. And I don't know if it'd be kind of like being a circus and saying, okay, we're going to have clowns in this show, and then you have one clown at the very, very end. Like, you're really not giving the folks and the fans what they want. They're not getting their money's worth.
You rather just, if you're going to do one clown per show, you're just rather hire Frank the Clown.
Right.
Which I believe is...
Only if the headliner is I get to fight Frank for Noel.
Do you know what? We'll book that.
I could probably take Frank. I'm 6'5". I could probably take Frank.
Our in-head Brock Lesnar guy be the ref.
Yeah, what's his name? Parker Bordeaux, that new guy? What is his name?
I think I forget what his name is.
He's that guy that everyone says looks like Brock and does, like, I don't know. I see him on Twitter all the time, but, like, does he wrestle? I mean, what is he?
No, Brock Lesnar guy is supposedly he's from Chicago. Like, I didn't know.
Oh, that guy. Okay, we're talking about two different people.
Yeah, he's the guy who did the Brock Lesnar thing, and he got over because of it. And
okay, now I know who we're talking about.
Yeah, I never got to meet him, but like he seems like a really nice guy, and I feel like if you guys were to do that match, you'd be the perfect ref because it's just meme after meme after Master of the Circus.
That sounds about right.
And plus, do you think that like anyone do you think like if you were to ask Frank the Clown to be a clown in your circus, you'd be down for that? You'd be like, no, I'm not that kind of clown.
I don't know. I only know about him is what you saw on Holy Foley and stuff on his Instagram and on Noel Foley's Instagram. I don't actually know if he does any actual clown things or if he's just a doof wearing a wig. No idea. Never had the chance to ask.
Well, that'd be real interesting if he did, if he were to do something like that. So where do you see your circus going after the COVID? Like after the COVID has done its course and we're out of the COVID and we don't have to wear masks anymore and we can all get back together again and the circus can run once more. Where do you see your guys going?
Well, ideally, I'd like us to pick up where we left off. Right as things shut down and everything went crazy, we were going to make an appearance at a show called Fan Fusion, which is Phoenix, Arizona's version of Comic-Con. That's a big, show get for us. We're going to be doing about 3 different shows over a course of 4 days. They were going to pay us to be there. They were going to comp our tickets. It was a whole, our ship had come in, whole dream come true for us through that show. We were going to use the momentum from performing for that to try and go to the state fair or something, and maybe try and find a theater or two to work on. Because just before COVID happened, I was also working for another company doing some performing. It was called Candytopia. It was a Willy Wonka's chocolate factory kind of thing, where I was kind of a juggling Wonka more or less. And I met loads of really talented people working there, like theater performers and singers and writers and all these great new contacts. So we were going to try and get together and put on some kind of theatrical show before things went crazy. So hopefully, we're just going to kind of pick up right from that point, because I'm hearing rumors right now that Phoenix Comic-Con might try to open this year in May. I'm not really holding my breath, but if it happens and they still want to book us, we're going to show up.
That's right. That'd be really awesome. I hope you guys kill it, because you guys seem to be doing so freaking well so far from what I've heard through Charn and through you. So
yeah, we're doing our best.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I was thinking, maybe Cyber Timebite and Gaslight can collab on something just for funds, something fun I would promote you guys and you guys can promote me back, and it could be a working together sort of thing, something that could be something
right.
that'd be fun and promotional and not seem so stingy or whatever,
Right. I mean, if as soon as the ball gets rolling and getting with us doing stuff, right now, yeah, we have our online series, but that's mostly just so we have something to do and entertain ourselves. If we weren't having fun doing it, we probably wouldn't take the time to do it as diligently as we have. But once we're doing live shows again and are able to do more collaborative things to a better effect, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because after talking with Charn and talking with you, it's you. I mean, you seem like a really smart guy. You know what you're doing. You have your inspirations. You know where you want to go with it, and you're a wrestling mark like I am. So that's a plus. So
Mark's got to fit together.
So I mean, I'm really proud of what you're doing. I think you're doing a fantastic job. Like I said with all those reasons I was talking about. You guys are doing great. I hope you guys go up and beyond from here.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Was there anything while we were talking? Was there anything that you're interested in to know about me, just in any way?
Well, I mean, you said you started getting on podcasting and stuff, and of course you're a wrestling fan. Well, how long have you been podcasting? Actually, I was curious about that.
I've been doing this podcast for 3 years, but I actually started podcasting back in 2014, because after I graduated high school, I didn't know what I was going to be, right? So I wasn't really thinking about it, and so I ended up going to broadcasting school for 1 year, and it's called the Illinois Center for Broadcasting. Now it's called the Illinois Media School nowadays, but I went there for a year, and after that I took a break for a year. I sat around doing nothing, and then I got my job. And after I got my job, I started doing a podcast called Adventure Time Guys with my friend Cameron, and he lives in Ohio. And we did that for a while. We started really bumpy. I'm talking microphone up to the speaker of your radio sort of thing. And we did that for the longest time. And then after Adventure Time started ending, and we were losing content, I was we did a few interviews on ATG, like what we're doing now, but I said I had my co-host and we were doing the Adventure Time Guy stick. And I wanted to actually do that for myself with my own brand, with my own name and sort of branding thing and all that stuff. And so I was like, I'm just going to do that because Adventure Time Guys isn't doing very well right now. And so 2 years ago now, because I'm in my 3rd year, so 2 years ago, I started Cyber Timebite, And the original idea was that Cyber Timebite was going to be a C-Jam show, which is a radio station I made that is now long gone because radio.co really charges you up the yin-yang to keep it alive. And so I shut down C-Jams, and then I brought Cyber Timebite like that same year, or maybe around that same month. And I just been going, until, for... Like, I just never stopped. It just became natural for me. Because like, I would just go on Instagram, Facebook, email, anywhere where a cosplayer or people exist. And I would just, like, ask them, like, hey, would you like to come on my podcast to talk about such and such, whatever interested me? And, and then I kept doing that, and here we are today.
That is a solid story, man. You're coming a long way.
Hey, thanks, man. I mean, like, I really been trying to make the most of what I've been doing with this podcast. I mean, like, I've done panels for this podcast. I've done this podcast at 2 local comic book stores because I'm a huge comic book nerd, and I just been doing whatever it takes. Doing interviews, like going on other people's podcasts and doing interviews just to get the name out there, and doing panels and whatever at conventions to get also my name out there. So I mean, it's just, I mean, even though I'm 3 years in, I still think I'm still treading very slowly.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, and you got to get somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, and I guess something else. Since we're on that subject, what I was going to ask you about is that you do your own podcast, right?
I sure do.
Tell us about it.
So my podcast is called Cutting Up Jackpots. It's an old circus carny lingo for just hanging out, telling stories with your friends. I talk about different parts of circus history, current news in the industry, and then either have some topic that I'll talk and rant and rave about myself, or I'll have different guests on, like different circus performers, different members of Gaslight Circus, artists, stuff like that. Like one of my last guests, I had my friend Ryan Drake on. He performed as an acrobat for Cirque du Soleil, kind of like what Mason Ryan's doing right now, but he performed in Zoomanity, which was like the first Cirque du Soleil show that really took off in the States.
Yeah, because that's really awesome. Did you ever have Mason Ryan on your show?
I have not. I actually don't know if that'd be something I could do. I definitely think I'd probably try and ask Jonathan the Iverson though, see if he comes on.
No, dude, that'd be awesome if you were able to get that done. I mean, like, I tried to get him on my podcast, but he was really busy and he wasn't able to do it. But like, that would have been really cool if I would have got him, because he seems like a really nice person. I would love to sit him down.
Yeah, he's good.
Hopefully one day where I can be on your podcast. I would love to support your show and like do an interview with you if you want to turn the tables one day.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I currently do the podcast in seasonal chunks. So next week's episode is actually the season finale, and then it's probably going to go on like a month-long hiatus. But for season 3, definitely, let's talk.
Yeah. So are you okay with telling the people? Because like, by the time this gets uploaded, I don't know if that episode will be uploaded yet. But like, you want to just say anyway, so people who listen to this can be like, oh yeah, I want to go listen to that. Like your latest episode, who you're gonna have on?
Oh yeah, latest episode who I'm gonna have on. It's gonna be a collective of a couple different performers. So, one of my biggest performance gigs that I do out there is at the Arizona Renaissance Festival. And because the festival didn't open this year because of COVID, a lot of our performers don't really have anything to do normally. So what we're doing at the moment is I'm going to have people on next Sunday, and we're going to talk a bit about the Renaissance Festival entertainment industry and different festival stories and things like that, and how we're dealing with not being able to perform out there this year and stuff like that.
That's really cool and really epic. We've been going an hour and 3 minutes, but that's fine because we've been having a lot of fun and we've been asking really awesome and interesting questions. Yeah,
no, it's been good.
Yeah, so I guess this is a good time to wrap it up. And I want to say thank you for coming on. You've been awesome. You've been really great. You've been really informative. You've been really nice, and I'm glad that I had you on because it was really nice to figure out more about the circus thing because like I didn't really know much about it, like the in-depth things, but I think you really like opened up my eyes to what it really can be like.
Oh yeah, definitely happy to be on. Thanks for having me, of course.
Hey, no problem. So I'll do my outro and I'll let you do yours. Um, Thank you everyone for listening to Cyber Timebite episode 139. You can find me on Facebook at Cyber Timebite. You can follow me on Twitter at NostalgiaVamp. You can follow me on Instagram at NostalgiaVampire. And you can buy all my merchandise on Redbubble.com under Crash Steven Gear, where even you know that you can buy that not buy even you know that the Spork is almighty because I have my Spork shirt. You can buy and all that stuff. And last plug for me is that I have a friend, which I forgot to bring up in this interview, but I'll just say it now. I have a friend who goes by Tiff93KD on Instagram. She does a panel at conventions called Circus Stock, which I forgot to bring up.
I know Circus Talk.
What's that?
Yeah, I know what that is, Circus Talk.
No, Circus Stock.
Oh, cool.
It's this thing called Homestuck. It's a webcomic. I don't know if you know about it, but
yeah, I know about it.
Yeah, it's basically that. And my friend literally does like a circus twist on it. Like the characters are dressed like circus actor things, and my friend actually plays the ringmaster. So
that's awesome.
And so like yeah, so go on the teespring.com, put in Circus Stuck, and you can find the t-shirt that everyone's clamoring over to get, and you don't have to go for me to get it anymore. You can just go and buy it yourself. And so there it is. And yeah, that's pretty much for me. How about you? Where can people go find you?
You can find us on gaslightcircus.com. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. And all of it's under Gaslight Circus. Or you can find us on anchor.com, Apple Podcasts, under Cutting Up Jackpots.
That's really awesome. So yeah, if that's everything, then. I hope everyone here has a fantastic day, and have a good one.
Signing down the road.